Okay, a little different here. Before I get to the live trade video, I want to make a couple quick disclosures and then also give you something to think about as I go. For some reason, I made the recording and then my audio just didn't get recorded. I don't know why, but I thought, well, maybe I'll try something different. Maybe I'll just go back afterwards and do a voiceover. So first off, I just want you to know, this is not live in the sense of I'm actually thinking through things as they happen. I know what's happened and I'm doing a voiceover. And I wanted to emphasize this because there's a lot of people out there that do these live trade videos, but then they're voiceovers, but they don't tell you they're voiceovers. So they get to sound all smart. They get to sound like they know what's going to happen because, well, it's a voiceover and they already know what happens. And that is the case there. Now, the majority, or not the majority, all of my other live trade videos, I don't think I've ever done this before, are actually live. So when I'm sitting there stumbling around with my thoughts and sounding like a moron, well, that's because it's actually live. But this video, I just want to be transparent about the fact it is definitely a voiceover. But also on that note, I'm curious of your thoughts. So as you go through it, just be thinking, do I like this? Is this annoying? Do I like more of the raw type of trading where Clay's just literally thinking on his feet as things play out? So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Do you like these videos? Do you not like them? And I want you to at least be considering that as you go through the video. But again, this is not quote unquote live. It is a voiceover. So let's go to my desktop and see how this morning played out. All right, so welcome to my desktop here and let's give this a go. So right out the gates, I was talking about how I took this Boeing trade pre-market and things really didn't go my way. And it was a situation where I had to go into loss control mode. So I'm highlighting there the Boeing trade. And mentally speaking, I was prepared to lose about $50 on it, but things ultimately went in my favor. And as I point out there, it ultimately only cost me right around $4.50. So a situation where I was mentally prepared for a much bigger loss, but because of loss control mode, I was pleasantly surprised to actually have a winning trade. So at this point, I was talking about work and how I was watching work, and this was my main candidate out the opening gates. And I thought, a lot of people always wonder, how does the chat room work? So I brought over the window here, and I made the alert and typed it up in real time. So you can see their work, $30.50, interesting flush area on the open. And then if the price can get down to that area, because at the time that the alert was made, as I'm about to point out here, the price was actually still up above 31 as I'm chose poorly with the colors, went with yellow, but that's a problem with level 2s, they change around. So change it to blue right there and then point out how, yeah, the price was still above 31. So at the point though, that was why I was mentioning if the price can get down to that area. But that's a real-time alert that was put in there at 9:25 a.m. And I just wanted to make members aware of it. And that's how I do operate the chat room. Every morning I'll point out some areas, and that way members can have an idea of kind of what I'm looking at and what they should be looking at. Now, they don't have to take the trade if they don't want to, but it's a situation where at least they're notified of the areas that I'll be watching, and then they can make a decision from there. So at this point, it was just waiting for the market to officially open, with again that $30.50 mark being the key area. So at this point, the market had opened and I was getting ready to take my trade right here. So I'm getting ready to go short and click the sell button. So right there, I am now short. And you can see right here that I am short 500 shares, and I'm adding this in afterwards. So 500 shares, I'm short at 31.60. And right there, I just pulled 300 shares off. So 300 shares I bought because, again, when you're shorting to exit the position, you sell. So took off 300 shares right there. Still have 200 shares left on the position at that point in time. And then right here, I put in my stop loss order. So stop loss for the remaining 200 shares. And again, that would be a buy because that's how you exit a position from the short side. But at this point, it was going in my favor. And you can see that it was just a waiting game now. And remember, chat room members, actually, I take that back. I haven't shown what I adjusted, but I guess I can talk about that now. But 31.50, I'd actually adjusted too. So chat room members were now no longer looking at that 30.50 mark. They were looking at 31.50. So in other words, members, assuming they took the trade, would be doing very well with me. So at this point, it's just a waiting game. Again, I still have those 200 shares. Whoops. Still have those 200 shares left right here. But it was just a question of, could it continue to work in my favor? And now at this point, what you're going to see is the price gets down to 31. So you're going to continue on to watch that. But 31, you'll notice, just starts to act really, really stubborn. And because it acts really, really stubborn, you're going to see that I ultimately cancel this out of here and then just take off another 100 shares. Because at that point, I was not sure if 31 was actually going to fall. So just continue to watch 31, and you're going to notice that there's a whole bunch of buyers sitting there, and then it begins to act very, very stubborn. So 31 is approaching. And it's almost there, 31.05. And if you're not aware, these are called level 2s. So this is a tool that all traders should be using. So still just watching, waiting to see if it can get down through 31. And also notice here the candles are really starting to tighten up in the range. So here we go. Watch 31, watch 31. And I'm thinking, all right, well, I would love to see it get down through 31, but my confidence level was, so look at those big buyers. Look at all those buyers right there at 31. Not shocking given it's a round number, but I was watching, and now keep an eye down here. You're going to see me go over and cancel that stop loss out. So there it is, canceled. And then I'm going to change this to 100 shares because I want to exit, put a limit order in. So I just got right out there at 31.01 because, like I said, I was not quite sure if the trade was actually going to break through 31. And you can see right now, 31 still being stubborn. So I decided, you know what? But to be fair, it might still break, which is why I still kept on or kept and held those 100 shares because I could very well be wrong. Maybe this 31 is going to ultimately fail. So that's why, and that's what I'm talking about right now. Just pointing out the fact that, you know, that level's being very, and look at it go, and finally broke. So I was ultimately wrong. In hindsight, as I sit here and, you know, do the voiceover, yeah, I should have held on to those 200 shares because it ultimately did go. But at the time, and rightfully so, that was the right decision for me to do. I, you know, held strong. But at this point, I'm just moving my stop loss down now. So I have the stop loss in place at 31.01 for the remaining 100 shares. So at this point, it's not a matter of if I make money. It's just how much money am I going to make? Because at this point, I have absolutely no idea how far down this thing wants to go. So I'm going to go here, and you'll see here I cancel this out and adjust the stop loss. So now my new stop loss is at 30.91. So now worst case, I'm making that much more money. And this is where you want to be as a trader. You want to be in those locations where it's not if you make money, but how much money you're going to make. I mean, how great of a concern is that as a trader to sit there and have the only worry be, oh, you know, I don't know how much money I'm going to make. That's awesome. And I assure you, that's a very stressless situation. So at this point, it's just a matter, and you can see that the price ultimately went back up, got above my stop loss. Therefore, I was taking out there for a total win of $208 on the trade. Now, at this point, I bring over the chat box here again, and I'm pointing out the fact that, yes, originally, which I pointed out to you earlier, I did alert that 30.50 mark, but there you can see I'm circling the fact that I had adjusted it to 31.50 as that new flush point, which I talked about earlier in this video. But at that point, members were well aware to be watching that 31.50 mark, and they did very, very well with me, assuming they took that trade. Now, before we get to this next trade, because this is where there was some luck involved for sure, but I want you to understand how shorting actually works. So if you're new or just getting started in the markets, I get it. Maybe you've never even heard of going short or being short, but all shorting means real quick is, and this is going to sound mind-blowing the first time you hear it, if it is the first time, but shorting a stock, being short, going short, when values go down, you make money. Again, if prices go down, you actually make money. And you do this by, like I was saying earlier, you sell first and then buy back second. Again, I'll say that one more time. You sell first and then buy back second to exit the trade. So you sell to enter the trade, you buy to exit the trade. I get it. It sounds super backwards, and it is backwards the first time you hear it, but I promise the more you're around it, the more you just learn about it, it makes more and more sense, and you'll get more and more used to it. But that's how it works going forward. And like I said, when you see what happens here, and I'll explain it, step by step, it'll just make hopefully a little bit more sense on what exactly was going on. But yeah, sometimes you can have bad luck as a trader. Sometimes you can have good luck as a trader. And let's just see how the luck worked out here for me. But I'll get the video rolling here. And the next trade I'm going to be taking is on Boeing BA. So we'll watch this one. So Boeing, I just went short right here. 100 shares, and I got short at 202.80. Again, meaning I want to see this go down. If Boeing goes down, that is very, very good for me. I just went with 100 shares because at this point I was green on the day. So I thought, you know what? I don't want to give back my gains. I'm willing to risk a little bit here just to see what happens. But by no means am I going to let this turn into some sort of massive loss where all my wins are wiped away. So yeah, I still want to make a little bit more money on the day, but also I didn't want to sit there and take on some sort of risk that could have resulted in me giving back all my gains, or worse yet, giving back all my gains and then putting me, on red on the day. That's just not good from a psychological standpoint. So that was my thinking right here is, all right, I like the odds. It was looking like this thing was getting tired and wanted to pull back some here. So that's why I got short. And like I said, at this point, just 100 shares. So I'm not going to make a whole bunch of money if it goes in my favor. But remember, that's a two-sided coin, because if I'm wrong and this thing decides to break out, well, at that point, you know what? Guess what? I'm not going to lose a bunch of money either. So, it's a two-sided coin. And it's always one of those hindsight things where, if you're wrong and it goes against you, you're sitting there saying, yes, good decision to only go a small size. And then, of course, if it goes in your favor, you're sitting there saying, oh, you idiot, why don't you do more size? Which is good old confirmation bias at its best. But that's the current status right here. And I remember this one taking a while. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'll fast forward it into the location where it finally starts to go in my favor and where the stupidity starts to come into play here. And actually, I'll explain the stupidity right now before it happens. But usually I'm not doing these voiceovers. So meaning usually I will say that right now I'm doing this in the voiceover. It's a whole lot more easier. But at the time when these are going on, I am talking real time through them. So when I'm talking real time through them and trying to think through this trade itself, think what I'm going to say to you as viewers, press right buttons, things can get a little complicated. So what you're going to see here is it does start to go in my favor. So spoiler alert. And what I want to do is I just want to cover 50 shares. Meaning I'm going to come over here and I should enter in 50 shares right there because I want to leave some of my position or I want to still have some of the shares. So I want to just take off 50. But notice what number I put in there. So again, I'm trying to think. It's going in my favor. I want to type in 50. 500. 500 shares. And then what happens? I'm going to go over here and click buy. But I think I'm only exiting 50 shares, right? Because remember, when you're short, you buy to exit. So I think I'm only going to be doing 50, but look what happened right there. So actually, let me pause this real quick, and then we can go over what exactly happened. So at this point, sorry, I know this is, I wanted to only get out 50 shares, but what happened was because I only had 100. So my total position was 100 shares short. But because I went and thought I was going to buy 50 shares, which would have still kept me. Here's a little quiz question here to see how do you understand shorting, maybe if it's brand new. So if I had 100 shares short and I was going to buy 50, because that's how you exit, how many shares short would I still have left? Well, if you're saying, well, Clay, if you have 100 and you want to exit out of the position by 50 shares, that means you still have 50 shares left short. If that's how you answered it and that was your thought process, well done. You understand shorting, or maybe if you're new, you're starting to understand shorting. But again, because I had 500 shares, I not only exited the 100 share position from the short side, but then because of that, I put myself long 400 shares. Now, long is just a traditional way, right? Long is the typical you buy first and then you sell. So instead of having 50 shares short originally, like I wanted to do, I had 400 shares from the long side, which was the exact opposite thing that I wanted to do. So here now is why you have 400 down there, and notice there's no negative sign in front of that number. If you scroll back on the video, you'll originally see a negative sign in front of that number, which means that I was short that amount of shares. That's just the way this the platform Lightspeed here works. But now all of a sudden, there is no negative sign, meaning I am long 400 shares, and this is a position that I don't want to be. And not really to give myself credit. So this was a little self-created luck, but I didn't want to panic about it because this was still in an overall uptrend. So with that in mind, and I still had the VWAP right here, I was thinking, you know what? This is either going to be a video where I post and say, don't do this, folks, or it might work out in my favor. But the VWAP, that dotted yellow line there, was going to be the area where, if it violated that, then I definitely need to wave the white flag. And it will actually be a day where I just gave back a bunch of gains because of stupidity, because I, as you saw, meant to type in 50, but instead I typed in 500. So with that being said and explained, let's just see how this plays out here. So like I said, at this point, now I want to see the price go up. That's what I want to see. Go up price, go up price. That is what I want to see because I'm now long, the traditional thing. So right here, I'm just watching and just thinking, all right, well, it isn't an uptrend. I do still have the VWAP right there, but if it does not hold above there, I need to get out. But you can see it is starting to go up, starting to go up. And right there, I get out for 202.55, which, put some profit in my pocket. So I got out of Boeing with a total profit of the $84 there, but that could have been a situation where had that kept on rolling back over, it would not have been a pretty picture, and it would have been a much uglier situation. So yes, I did get lucky there. But like I said, a little self-created luck because I still understood the context that it wasn't an uptrend. But overall, though, it was a mistake. And, the learning lesson there is always make sure to double check your orders. And I'm not trying to sit here and blame anybody else because nobody's forcing me to do these live trade videos. Maybe I'm stupid for not doing these voiceover shares all the time because I will admit it is much easier to just talk about it in hindsight here as I see things play out rather than trying to talk through them as I go. But regardless, not making an excuse because nobody is forcing me to do those. But yeah, sometimes that just happens. But I mean, sometimes it happens to me when I'm not doing live trade videos either. So I mean, just always be there or always be aware to double check your orders. Are you typing in the right numbers that you mean to type? Are you pressing the right buttons that you mean to type? In fact, in the comment section below, have you ever done something like this where you either type in a wrong number or you press the wrong button and then you're like, uh-oh. Have you ever had any uh-oh moments? If so, let me know down in the comment section below. But that's how the day played out. It was still a great day. I mean, 21 minutes. I made, right around $290. So it was a great quick morning of trading. Sure, it could have been worse, but overall, I was very happy with it. But particularly, I liked how I decided to make that choice to type up that alert in real time and then take the trade with other members. So you can see it was one of those things where millions upon millions of dollars are being traded. So it's not like it's a game of musical chairs like we were trading some low float penny stock or something. There was an opportunity for every member to make money on it. And a lot of members did do very well with it. So let's just go back to me at the chalkboard. So yeah, again, like I said, I'm curious, what did you think about that? Did you enjoy? Did you not? I would love to hear from you. This entire channel has been built on 95% feedback from you as viewers, and I do listen. So I'm very curious, what do you think? Leave those comments down below, and thanks for watching the video. First off, thanks so much for watching the entire video. Real quick, before you go, I want to invite you to a live webinar, web class, training, workshop, online event, whatever you want to call it, but it will be me live revealing to you what I've discovered that has allowed me to transform myself from being an employee to being my own boss, including how I had only one losing day out of 73 days in total. I'm going to cover 3 keys that have helped me unlock profitable consistency within the markets. The first key is super weird, but in a productive type of way. The second key is super awesome because it quite literally is wired into our DNA as humans, making it very easy to use. But in a cruel way, this becomes a pitfall for many traders. I'll explain it all though, including how to avoid the pitfall that it creates for some. And yeah, the third key, when you hear it, sounds way too good to be true, but it's not, and I'll show you how it all works. Then at the end, I open it up for a question and answer session that is, again, totally live. Even if you can't make the live session, please still sign up as it will be recorded, and you can go back and watch the replay that I will send you. Click the image on the screen or click the link down in the description box so you can get the date and time and claim your spot, which I should note is limited due to the fact that this truly is a live event. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I'll be seeing you soon.